Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
And today is our first episode. So today we just want to kind of go over our history with the series, talk about what we love about it, our history, all that kind of stuff, our favorite characters, favorite moments, that kind of deal. So I'm going to start with you, Dylan, because your history with the series is more relevant here. In regards to what we'll be covering in the near future. So why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Yeah, so I'm Dylan, and so my experience with Hunter x Hunter is actually purely the anime for the most part. And I'll get more into detail about the manga specific stuff in a moment. But I first Hunter x Hunter is one of the first anime I really watched, and really was kind of one of my gateway shows into anime and just Japanese media in general. It wasn't my first. My first was actually Attack on Titan, which I'm sure many of you will know just by name alone. But Hunter x Hunter was definitely like either the second or third anime I ever watched or started, I guess. And I fell in love with it from the very beginning, right? Very cool series, and there's a lot to appreciate about it, which I'm sure we'll go over in lots of detail in the near future for future episodes. But yeah, I watched all of it within, I guess, about a year, give or take. My memory's a little foggy because this was back in 2014, I believe. This was still when I was in high school.
So right around when it ended airing?
Yeah, it was actually, I think it was just a few months after it ended airing that I caught up, yeah. Or start? I don't know. Again, the memory's a little hazy. But right. I have watched all of the anime. And the neat thing that will be relevant to this podcast is that I have not read any of the manga. Not from where the anime has left off, I should say. So it's very...
except for one thing.
Yes.
You did read one thing.
I did read one thing. I won't go into the specifics of that.
We'll talk about that more later on in another episode, but yeah.
Yeah, and some of you might be able to deduce what that moment is. I will say it's a fight specifically, so that may clue, you viewers in.
Yeah, I'm sure you can figure it out.
So I do know what happens there, and I did read that in its entirety at some point. But everything else is pretty much, it's all up in the air. I don't know really exactly what happens aside from some small details here and there, arc names, things like that. Some characters involved in, whatever's happening. But I'm excited to learn more about it. And that's what really excites me about being on this podcast with you, being able to kind of go into these chapters and these volumes of where the anime has not covered yet and just kind of, start picking them apart and, really analyzing them and appreciate what they have to offer. And, as someone with a new perspective going into that, I think it's a very exciting thing.
Yeah, and that actually segues us into a really good point I wanted to bring up about how, this whole podcast kind of started because me and you and our other friend Braden, we do this thing with JJK, pretty much exactly what we're going to be doing with Hunter x Hunter, but we do it privately. Like, it's just us three doing it. We upload it unlisted.
I don't know if you guys will ever see the light of day for that podcast.
Probably not. But we talk about the chapters every week in depth, and we just kind of wanted to do something, the same thing but with a different series. And I feel like a lot of that stems from just how me and you like to consume media, manga, whatever.
We're very analytical,
art, whatever you want to say. Yeah, we like to really break down the things we watch and read and talk about them in depth instead of just letting it fly by the wayside immediately.
Yeah, it's really easy to consume media in general, but especially anime and manga, I think, of just kind of taking it in. You have a good time reading or watching it in the moment, and then it just kind of fizzles out of your mind for a little bit. That's definitely not something I tend to do, though, at least nowadays, and I know it's definitely not something you like to do. We like
not
to
at all.
Yeah, we have to let those thoughts simmer and really think about the finer details, the purpose of it all, how it kind of correlates to the series as a whole, even stuff like that. It's very entertaining thoughts for me, and so I think I'm gonna get a lot of enjoyment out of what's to come here.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be great to hear thoughts from a newcomer, especially because that's another reason I think this will work really well, is because we have me who has read the whole thing, and we have you who has read nothing, so we can get some fresh perspectives and some old perspectives. And also, I do want to fill you in at some point. I'll probably do this off mic about the things that the anime didn't cover that has already come to pass.
I didn't think
There's
about that.
a lot more than you would think there is, actually. We'll figure that out later, though, because I got to fill you in on some things that they skipped over.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
So anyways, yeah, my history with Hunter x Hunter is kind of funny because, as I'm sure you remember, Dylan, I used to be a big hater back in the days of it airing.
Oh, that is a whole story in and of itself. I remember
It sure
it
is.
very fondly, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was while it was airing. It wasn't like as these episodes were coming out, but like probably 2013, 2014. I tried to watch it. I got up to where Gon and Killua are doing that thing with Netero with the ball. They're trying to get the ball from him or something like that.
Oh, that's so early. That's earlier than I remembered, actually.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Just something in my brain back then was like, "No, this is garbage. Fuck this."
No,
and so I dropped it. I shit all over it. Yeah, our people in our friend group will make fun of me for that until the day I die, probably. And then eventually, I think you don't happen to remember when I picked it back up, do you? Is that like 2016?
It was after I caught up.
Oh yeah, it was that because you were part of the reason I picked it up.
If I'm remembering correctly, I started watching it sometime in early 2014. So I think it had to have been like early 2015 at the earliest that you started watching it again.
2015. That sounds about right.
It could be more or less. Memory's a little foggy, but
yeah, I don't really remember. But 2015, 2016, somewhere around that range, I just decided to pick it back up after everybody was talking about it and fell in love. It's one of my favorite things ever. I would say it's probably my second favorite anime of all time, at least. Taking manga into account makes it more complicated because I've read a lot more manga and
also Hunter x Hunter isn't finished.
Yeah, that's a big deal too, and it may never get finished, which is unfortunate.
Well,
but we'll see. I mean,
so we gotta think about that for now.
Yeah. By the way, another thing we didn't even mention at all is Togashi is seemingly coming back in a very big way with like bare minimum like 20 chapters coming back this session, which is very exciting and is definitely a big reason that me and Dylan are in a big Hunter x Hunter headspace right now and gearing up to catch up and get Dylan up to date. Did I even mention that we're covering volume by volume yet? I don't think
I might have alluded to it or even mentioned it during my introduction, but you can go more in depth if you would like.
Yeah, so basically the plan until there are weekly chapters to discuss, we are going to start at volume 33 and go until, I want to say it's 38? 38, does that sound right?
37 or 38, I believe. Yeah.
37, 38, yeah. To be current before the manga's back in serialization. That'll get Dylan caught up. That'll get me refreshed on everything. I'll be writing pretty detailed plot synopsises about the volumes we read. We'll read through that on air, talk about everything in that volume, which is it's usually 10 chapters a volume. So if anybody happens to stumble upon this episode before episode 1 properly comes out, then you can feel free to read along with us because the first episode will cover volume 33. So go ahead if you stumble upon this.
Yeah, so about one episode for every volume in a past the anime, essentially. Although there is a caveat that I believe the last episode, or no, there's like one chapter right in the prior volume that like needs to be read.
Oh, correct. That's yeah. So the first episode will actually be covering the final chapter of volume 32 as well, which is chapter 340. So 340 to 350 is the range of chapters we'll be covering. So it's 11 chapters for that one. But everything after will be 10 chapters per episode.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time to catch up in preparation for Togashi's return, because really it's only a matter of time at this point, right? Like it's it could be weeks, could be days. Any time now we're going to get an announcement that it's being serialized again. Right.
He's hard at work as of recording this. I think he's doing chapter 415 or 416 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Around
About
that range.
About 10, a little over 10 chapters, even since the last one, right? You would know better than me.
So we're starting at 400, so he's done 15 or 16 chapters
Okay.
at this point. Not
Yeah.
complete, but he's storyboarded
Right.
that many. Completed chapters, I think there's only like 3 right now. But I mean,
Okay. Well, only a matter
we'll
of
see how
time
it goes.
before the
yeah,
others are
it's only a
completed.
matter of time. So yeah, other things I just wanted to touch on real quick before we, get into the real series after this episode is just kind of touch base on all of our favorite things about the series. So we have a base level understanding of who we are as fans of the series. So we'll just kind of go back and forth on this. So Dylan, I'll start. Who is your favorite character? I think I know the answer, but our audience doesn't.
Yeah, so a lot of friends within our friend group know this because infamously it was a regular icon of mine on social media for a very long time at various moments in our lives as well. But Kite is
Yes.
easily my favorite character. There's something about just the aura he had as soon as he was introduced that really made me fall in love with him. And then it only kind of increased further as more of his character was shown. And I think a big part of this character as well, spoilers, I guess, if you care about any Chimera Ant spoilers. I don't know why you would if you're watching this. I feel like you probably are caught up to the anime. But
Yeah,
fair
baseline,
warning.
I just want to say, establish, like, we're expecting you've seen the anime at least. Because
Yes.
this is primarily a manga podcast, and we're starting from post-anime content. So
Yeah.
I'd recommend not following this at all if you haven't seen the anime at the very least.
Right. But fair warning, just in case, first episode and whatnot. But yeah, like I think a big part of his impact on me as well was just how sudden his death was, and just how that it's really one of the first times anime especially has gotten me to think on a really, really intricate and deep level about like character relationships and just like the purpose of like characters within a plot in general. Just seeing how it affected Gon, especially throughout the rest of the arc after that, and just kind of how that was like an overarching like presence the entire time. Just not only for Gon but for others within the arc as well, and just kind of sends a message about the Chimera Ants as well and how powerful they were. He's just such an effective character, but I was so sad whenever he got sacked, and it was heartbreaking to me. I felt like we didn't see his full potential, but that also what makes me really connect and love him at the same time is just he's such a special character in that regard. He's cool in like every sense of the word to me. So Kite's easily my favorite. There's a lot of runner-up characters though that I would also include up there. Just to name a few: Crollo, Gon, also Karapika as well is easily a favorite. So. But
That's great to hear.
Yeah, but Kite is head and shoulders above them for me, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to touch a little on Kite myself, actually, because, yeah, I mean, his death is honestly one of the most impactful deaths I can even think of in, like, media in general, just because, like, the effect it has on the characters and the story it's never ending. It just keeps going through the whole arc. You're constantly reminded of his death and how... especially on Gon, I mean, it destroys him. It completely breaks him down mentally, and you're witnessing that over the course of the whole arc.
And he almost didn't recover from it. Also, that's the thing.
Yeah. He, if it wasn't for literal like magic from another world, he wouldn't have recovered.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's I absolutely love Kite too and his purpose in the story.
I
I would have loved to see him more.
Yeah, and I mean, well, kind of still around in a way, although not how you'd expect with the whole reincarnation.
Yeah. I hope we see her again at some point in the future. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's such a weird like factor to think about. But just one other aside from that, one other note that I wanted to touch on about Kite was also just how going into that moment, nobody that I've talked to thought he would lose that encounter.
No.
Or at least like die from it. Like everyone thought immediately, like, okay, like he might not win this. Like P2 is insane, right? But like he'll come back. He'll come back for Gon and Killua, and they'll be okay. He'll survive somehow, even if he's injured. And then it just then you see the decapitation, and all hope immediately drains from everybody's bodies that I've seen react to that moment.
What a moment that is.
Yeah.
It's also, it does such a good job of setting up the threat of the Royal Guard.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're seeing the most powerful character we've seen thus far just get the floor wiped with him. You know, like, he doesn't even... We don't get to see the fight, unfortunately, but I think the message that Togashi's trying to say there is, like, you don't even need to see the fight. He got his ass kicked.
Yeah, you know what happened.
That's how powerful, yeah, I mean, that's how powerful the threat they were dealing with was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as for me, my favorite character is Meruem. His story is just so impactful to me. It is something I think about so often at so many points in my life. It just, I don't know, his story just affected me in such a unique way that very few things have ever. And I really just, it's hard to even talk about anything else other than just him and Komugi. That's the core of everything. I love his fight with Netero. That's one of my favorite moments in the series, but anytime I think about him, I just think about those final moments with him and Komugi in the storehouse or whatever, playing. Oh my god, what is the game called?
Shogi?
Is it? No, it's not Shogi. Actually, it's Oh man, it starts with an R, I think. Whatever they're playing, you know the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just one of my favorite moments in all of anything. I mean, that already answers my question about my favorite moment. That is my favorite moment also, is just them going out together, him asking if she's still there. It's such a beautiful moment. And then her calling him by his name one last time. I just love Meruem. It's such a great story. He's used very effectively.
He's up there for me as well, and I'm sure many of the viewers as well, or listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter x Hunter fans in general, like, that's an iconic character, and I respect
Absolutely.
that 100% for sure.
Yeah. And so I guess I'll just move into what's your favorite moment in the series?
Ooh. Man. There's a lot. There's a lot of really impactful moments for me. It's really hard to pick a specific one. Especially when, like, you think of arcs like Chimera Ant, and it's like everything about it is, like, amazing to me, and it all kind of, like, blends together almost, you know? But if I had to pick one, and especially if I had to pick one that's, like, very memorable, the scene still plays out in my head, like, constantly, and it's something I really just think about in general, I think it's Krollo's Symphony for Uvo, and just the Phantom Troop in general. Yeah, the night that they raided York New, essentially. That whole entire episode is one of my favorite things from the series in general, and also anime, I would say, even. But you know, when especially in the anime, because I don't know how, I'm sure it translates super well from the manga. But
it's amazing in the manga too, yeah.
Yeah, but like when the music starts playing and you just see all the destruction unfold, and you see how much they are wanting to pay respect to Uvo's legacy almost, and just it kind of shows their true colors in a sense. Not in a mischievous way either, really. It just shows how big of a family they were at the same time. And I don't know, the direction of that moment is something that really stands out for me. So, and again, Krollo is also, as I've mentioned already, one of the more interesting characters in the series for me as well, in terms of just layers, you know, to a character, how interesting they are, powers especially. So that's and that really solidified Krollo to me as well, as, like, you know, this guy's a big deal. Like, he's not to be taken lightly. So
yeah.
That's
a great pick, and I especially admire the fact that you chose something not from Chimera Ant. That's a huge move.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. That moment is also very high up there for me. That's at least like number 3 for me. I absolutely love that moment.
Yeah, for sure. I could pick so many moments from Chimera Ant also to go into some of my favorites, but you know,
so many.
We'd be here for ages if I were to go in depth onto all of that. So I will refrain for now.
Yeah. The next question isn't even a question. Favorite arc is Chimera Ant for both of us, correct?
Yeah,
it's
100%. There's some rockiness, I won't deny it, but I think overall it's like the peaks are so stupidly high that you can't help but just be in awe throughout the entire arc, and just how it's structured in general.
I just think it's one of the greatest arcs, at least in shonen manga ever. It's incredible.
There's a reason it's always in conversations when it comes to you know shonen arcs in general, let alone the greatest. You know,
absolutely.
You know, especially since so many people were introduced to Hunter x Hunter with the 2011 anime. Like it's insane how much it's still talked about, whether it's, like controversy or just like, how good it is. It's still to be talked about over a decade later. And I think that says a lot about just how, like, just the impact of the arc in general.
Yeah. It's truly incredible. We plan on having some guests on at some point too. That's the plan. We at least have one of our friends that will jump in every once in a while. And I'm curious to see if we get more guests as we go, if any of them will ever have a different answer to the favorite arc question.
I kind of doubt
throughout
it.
the entire run. I doubt it too. I mean, it's hard. Like, the only thing that comes close really is York New, and that's that's incredible too. I love that arc, but I think it's just the length of Chimera Ant that's at its benefit, because there's just so much of it.
There's so much to consume. You're engulfed in that arc for so long that, like,
yeah.
And again,
a lot of people come out of watching that series, and that's just like the only thing on their mind, because like that is the series. That's like half the series, right, for the anime.
Yeah, it's like,
it's crazy.
It goes from, I believe, the low 70s in episode count all the way to like 136 or 137, something like that.
Damn near the end. I think even early no, not early 140s. Yeah, it's still 30s.
Yeah, I remember it because I found it genuinely insane how there was an arc that long that had so many highs, as high as those moments were, and it was just like peak for me at the time almost. There's like 12 episodes left, by the way. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't know. It's wild to me.
It's ridiculous, and now we'll be jumping into a whole new world in the manga where it's gonna be a weird adjustment for you, especially because Gon and Killua. No, sir.
Nowhere to be seen.
Long gone. It's all Kurapika and a little bit of Leorio, too.
Right, and that's
so that'll be a crazy adjustment. Because for you, Kurapika, you probably haven't thought about much since York New, really.
Oh, right? Yeah. And don't you find that kind of crazy that he's still one of my favorite characters, even though it's been that long since
He's the best, yeah. You can't not love him. Because he never really leaves your mind throughout all of Greed Island and Chimera Ant. You're still thinking about him.
Yeah.
He's one of the boys.
I mean, at least for me as well, anytime I see a Phantom Troop member, I'm immediately thinking, Kurapika will hunt them down eventually, like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's something I love in the Chimera Ant arc, whenever they do like the 1 or 2 episodes of what the Phantom Troop was doing during all that.
Yep.
That was great stuff. I love that.
Yeah, that was very great stuff, and as much as I appreciate the Phantom Troop, I kept thinking the entire time, like, God, I want to see Kurapika, like, fight these people again, like, his whole storyline and just arc, just to touch on Kurapika a little bit for me, is very, very interesting to me, and even as someone who isn't particularly, like, immediately hooked on, like, revenge stories, so to speak, for most media, there's something about his, vindications in general that, like, you can't help but be interested by the prospect of where it'll go in the future. So
absolutely, especially given the prediction from Neon that Crollo reads during the Requiem moment. That is some of the most exciting stuff in the series, and we may be closer to seeing that stuff than you may think. We'll see.
Very curious to see where that will go.
But yeah, it's exciting times, and we'll see soon. We plan on doing an episode a week until Dylan is all caught up.
Yep.
And if Togashi announces that the series is resuming publication sooner than we think, we will find a way to squeeze in all the content before he starts pumping out chapters.
I'll speed read if I have to, just to get stuff out there for sure.
We'll figure it out.
The Togashi returning to publicizing Hunter x Hunter within Jump, I can't miss that. We don't want to miss out on being able to discuss that weekly as well, I don't think. So, we'll make it work either way.
Absolutely. So if you would like to join along with us again, whenever this episode goes up, I wish I planned ahead more on when this is going up. I'm not exactly sure, but within the week or a week from now, expect our first episode to go up covering volume 33. So you have maybe a week to read it if you want to read along with us, if you find this day one also. So, just try to catch up if you can, but don't worry about it if not. If you already read it, just don't even worry about it. Just watch the episode.
Yeah, sit back and, watch as we kind of dive into analyzing the chapters and, seeing my fresh perspective on these chapters as well, as someone who's experiencing them for the first time in preparation for Togashi's return.
Yes, it's going to be very exciting. So that's about all we got for this introduction episode. We just kind of wanted to lay down the game plan of what this podcast is going to be about and talk about our histories with the series. And do you want to plug Twitter or anything at the end here?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not? I could always use more followers, more people to talk to, if, you're so inclined. It's at DJ Tengen on Discord. That is DJTENGEN. Very simple tag. You'll know it as soon as you see it, if it's me or not. I have a chopper icon as of right now, I believe. So,
yes, he does.
Yeah, go follow me there if you want to see me retweet some dumb stuff or talk about anime or manga occasionally. Video games, stuff like that.
Yep, same here. I am at Kaige10. That's KAIIGE 10 on Twitter. If you the same stuff as Dylan, I pretty much just tweet about anime and manga. That's about all I do.
Yep.
So feel free to follow me. I'm sure I'll be talking a lot about Hunter x Hunter whenever it comes back, at least. So follow me there, and we will catch you on the first proper episode soon. Thanks for watching.